Hello and welcome to today's video. Now today I'm going to be talking about the South Asia and the Oceania split 2 for VCL. Obviously these two, they were the final challenger leagues for the Pacific region. So I've decided just to put them in one video just to make it a bit easier. So we have first start off with South Asia, and obviously just like split 1, this was obviously offline at New Delhi, and it was at the Nodwin Gaming Arena just like in split 1. The teams includes Orangutan, God's Reign, True Rippers, Astor Army, Reckoning Esports, Velocity Gaming, Metal Esports, MLT Esports, Godlike Esports, and Revenant Esports. Now, Revenant Esports, that was a replacement invite. That's just because that originally Lethal Esports was supposed to play, but obviously I'm pretty sure they quit or I can't remember what they did, but they obviously were disqualified, so they needed to get a 10th team, so they got Revenant Esports in for this split. For the group stage, now move on to, and it was kind of the same as split 1. Orangutan, obviously, they went 4-0, the only team to go 4-0 in both groups. Then you got Reckoning Esports, Revenant Esports actually advancing to the playoffs, and Velocity Gaming, a very, very disappointing showing from that team, and MLT Esports down in last place for Group A. Group B, however, Astor Army getting up in first place, and we got True Rippers Esports and God's Reign, obviously vice champions from Split 1, they came third, and then Godlike Esports and Metal Esports down in 4th and 5th respectively. Here are the matches. Obviously, week 1 only had 3 matches, so that doesn't really matter. I'm trying to find who was it? Is that Velocity Gaming? I'm pretty sure they only won 1 match. That was against MLT Esports and Healthgain MVP. 13-5 on Pearl, 13-10 on Split. There was which ones? Godlike and Metal both got a map win. So Metal actually won against Astor Army, obviously their first seed in Group B. 2-1 victory for Metal Esports, 14-12 on Ascent for Metal, 13-11 on Thrash for Astor, and 13-9 on Haven for Metal, and Ezzy gained MVP. And then who was the other one? Godlike Esports, they won against Metal. 2-0 victory for Godlike, 37 on Lotus, 13-6 on Ascent, and Rexy gained MVP. I don't think there's any other ones. MLT was legally, they went 0-4, so that doesn't really matter, and yeah, and that was also Astor Army's only loss as well in the whole of the regular season was up against Metal Esports, where they somehow won a pretty close game, to be fair. Before we move on to the playoffs, I just want to quickly talk about the Showmatch which happened. Pretty sure before the Little Breaker final, but I might be wrong. It was a Showmatch of the two giants, the two original giants of Indian esports, that being Global Esports and Velocity. Velocity Gaming, obviously literally the all roster. And obviously Global Esports, they had SK Royalty, Lightning Fast Skills, Hellranger, and Kappa. Team Velocity, they had Vibor, Right to Ace, Deathmaker, Health, and Excali. And the result was a 2-0 victory for GE Fighting, also known as Global Esports. 13-10 on Haven, and 13-5 on Bind. Yeah, I kind of expected this, and I'm pretty sure they also had a shorty round as well. I'm pretty sure on both Haven and Bind, which is also a cool showing. Respect for the late Twistin, who sadly passed away due to community suicide. I'm pretty sure it was. So that was a good sign of respect for those two teams, and obviously there's also a bunch of donations as well, a bunch of charities that you could donate if you want to help the cause of mental health. Obviously, it was a very, very sad time then, but it was pretty cool to see GE Fighting and Team Velocity. I'm pretty sure just like I said, during the pistol rounds, obviously had a shorty on both Haven and Bind. So then moving now over to the playoffs, and first off with Triple Rippers Esports versus Revenant Esports. It was a 2-1 victory for True Rippers Esports. My words. 13-1 on Bind for Revenant Esports, and 13-8 on Lotus, 13-11 on Split, both for True Rippers. So that was a bit of a demolish. I mean, Split was pretty close, but the rest wasn't really. And RU gained MVP. And God's Reign, they won a very close 2-1 victory against Reckoning Esports, 13-7 on Ascent for God's Reign, 13-10 on Haven for Reckoning, and 13-6 on Bind for God's Reign, and takes in MVP for that. Upper bracket final, Orangutan. They continue their dominancy. They won against True Rippers Esports, 13-8 on Pearl, 37 on Bind, and Rawful gained MVP. And Asta Army, they also won against God's Reign, a 2-0 victory for them. Pretty close game there on Bind, which was 14-12, but 13-6 on Fracture, that wasn't close at all, and Mars gained MVP. God's Reign, though, they continue to have their dreams alive as they won against Revenant Esports, 2-1 victory in low bracket quarterfinals, 13-4 on Haven for Revenant, but 13-6 on Ascent and 13-7 on Split, and Side Dreams gained MVP. And Reckoning Esports, they continue also as they knock out True Rippers Esports, 2-1 victory for Reckoning, 13-7 on Bind for Reckoning, and 13-9 on Lotus for True Rippers, and 17-15 on Pearl for Reckoning Esports, and Harsh gained MVP. This was a bit of an upset, I guess we'll say. Reckoning Esports, they knock out the second seed from Split 1, God's Reign, out of the playoffs in the low bracket semi-final. 13-5 on Pearl, 15-13 on Ascent, and Havoya gained MVP for that. Upper bracket final now, Orangutan, they continue their absolute dominance in the South Asian scene. 13-8 on Ascent, 39 on Pearl against Astor Army, and Anecdote getting MVP. And the Reckoning Esports, they continue their pretty surprising low bracket run as they win against the second seed of Astor Army. 16-14 on Pearl, 13-11 on Bind, a very, very close game, and Deadly 10 gained MVP. However, the grand final was really, really close, surprisingly. 13-2 for Orangutan. Now, I'm pretty sure God's Reign also took Orangutan to 5 maps. Reckoning was the leader doing the same thing, but both of them ended with an Orangutan victory. 13-6 on Haven for Reckoning, then 13-10 on Fracture for Orangutan, then 13-5 on Split for Reckoning, but then 13-6 on both Bind and 13-8 on Ascent went to Orangutan, and Orangutan advancing themselves into Ascension to represent South Asia, which is pretty exciting. I mean, who could really beat Orangutan? Orangutan, they were just pure dominant throughout both splits, and I think South Asia, they definitely brought their best team to Ascension, which I'm very, very happy about. So, South Asia all done. Let's now move over now to my region, Oceania. Oceania, unlike some other regions, I'm pretty sure other than maybe Malaysia and Singapore and Hong Kong, Taiwan, they were online. There was no LAN event or anything during the playoffs. It was just online. For the participants, there was Bonkers, Nerd Punt, Fun Crew, The Who, Mammoth Esports Club, Koopa Troopers, EXZ, and the Guangzhou Long Lions. I'm pretty sure that's an NBA reference. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was one former participant team that beat Honey Badgers. I'm pretty sure that's just because they disbanded. So yeah. Bonkers, they also disbanded. Well, it was originally 95X Esports, but then they disbanded and they became Bonkers once again. For the regular season, just for the group stage, Bonkers and Nerd Punt, both of them went 2-1, but Bonkers with a better map differential was the first seed. Then Nerd Punt, then you got Fun Crew, The Who, EXZ, and Koopa Troopers, and then the Guangzhou Long Lions and Mammoth Esports Club down in 7th and 8th. I think Mammoth Esports Club should be learning Chinese very, very soon. Let's have a look now at the group stage results, and I already see a forfeit. That was just because Fun Crew, they couldn't find an actual roster to actually compete against Nerd Punt, so basically Nerd Punt, they got a free, easy win. I don't know why 95X Esports is still there. Actually now I know why. 95X, they played throughout this whole week until round 7. Until round 7, they became Bonkers once again, and they still went against the Guangzhou Long Lions, but still it doesn't really matter. And who was the second seed? Speaking of them, the Guangzhou Long Lions, they got their 2 wins. The first one was against The Who. Never mind, that's EXZ. The Guangzhou, never mind. The first one was against Mammoth Esports Club. Not really surprising there. 13-6 on Fracture and 13-9 on Haven. Not really surprises there. But then they won against the 5th seed EXZ, 2-1 victory for the Guangzhou Long Lions. 13-11 on Lotus, 14-12 on Ascent for EXZ, but then 37 on Split for the Guangzhou Long Lions. It was a very close game, I'll say that. So pretty close there. And the only times that 95X or slash Bonkers lost, so 95X they lost to Fun Crew, 2-1 victory for Fun Crew, 13-5 on Ascent for Fun Crew, 13-8 on Split for 95X slash Bonkers, and 13-8 on Icebox for Fun Crew. And the only time Nerd Punch lost was against 95X. 13-7 on Haven, 13-10 on Pearl for 2-0 victory for 95X slash Bonkers against Nerd Punt. So that's really all for the regular season. Let's now move on now to the playoffs. So first off, with a forfeit from EXZ, that's just because they were unable to field a full roster against the Who. So the Who, they basically got a free win. Cooper Troopers, they lose to Fun Crew in the upper bracket quarterfinals. A 2-0 victory for Fun Crew. 13-6 on Fracture, 13-9 on Haven. Pretty easy victory basically there. Bonkers though, they win against the Who. 13-10 on Lotus, 13-8 on Ascent. No really surprising there. And Nerd Punt, they also won against Fun Crew. Pretty close game though. 13-10 on Split, 14-12 on Lotus. EXZ, they win against Fun Crew, a 2-0 victory for them. Does this count as an upset? Probably. They won a pretty close game, 13-11 on both Lotus and Haven. And Cooper Troopers, they win against the Who, both of them ending with 14-12 on both Lotus and Haven, so a very, very close game. EXZ though, they actually won against Cooper Troopers, which I guess is a bit of a surprise there. 14-12 on Lotus and 13-8 on Haven, so a pretty close game on Lotus. Haven not really. Nerd Punt though, they actually were the first team to win against Bonkers to make it to the grand final. I was kind of expecting Bonkers, since Bonkers are the best team in Oceania, but Nerd Punt, they've been making a name for themselves. 13-9 on Blind, 13-8 on Ascent. Bonkers though, they win against EXE, even though they dropped one map in Ascent, which was 13-10. However, the rest 14-12 on Lotus and 13-4 on Haven, that went to Bonkers' side. A pretty close game on Lotus, and EXE, they were knocked out to finish in 3rd place. And to make it to Thailand, Bangkok, for Ascension, was actually Bonkers. 37 on Blind, 13-6 on Fracture, and 13-4 on Split. Pretty interesting that they use Yoru. I'm guessing that was Feta who used Yoru. I'm pretty sure it was. So, yeah, I'm not really surprised there, since they did use Yoru against Bonkers on Mind. And I'm pretty sure they use, yes, yeah, and they also use Yoru as well on Split. So they tried to use Yoru in some maps, which is interesting, but I don't know. I'm not really too sure if that's the play, my guy. Not too sure about that. So let's now have a look at the full Ascension teams for the Pacific region. So here are the participants, obviously along with Xerxia, Fancy United, Bleed, D+, Scars, One Team, Nals, and Boom Esports. Orangutan, they join them, including Bonkers for South Asia and Oceania respectively. I will be doing a dedicated teams and players video, and I'll be also doing a Pick'ems video as well for all 3 regions. This is what the group stage looks like though. So Group Alpha, they will have Boom Esports, Fancy United, Nals Esports, One Team, and Xerxia. Group Omega will have Bleed Esports, Bonkers, D+, Orangutan, and Scars. So that's going to be a pretty good, a very interesting group to watch. The first match as well will be Xerxia versus One Team, and then Nals Esports versus Fancy United Esports. So that's really about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time in the next one. Goodbye.